I'm beautiful, and you not sorry for something I didn't do, and I am not sorry for the things I did do. This is Jack Whitaker, who's facing charges for first-degree manslaughter in Portland, Oregon. In April of 2010, Whitaker was high on meth when he drove head-on into the car of Kayla Wilson, was 5 months pregnant at the time. Wilson went into a coma. A month later, her child was born through C-section. Wilson's parents were in tears. I would not wish this for anybody, for any parent to have to go through what we're going through, not knowing if my baby's going to make it or not. Sadly, Wilson stayed comatose for years before passing away. Wilson's family was heartbroken, but her killer couldn't care less. Killer is 21 years old and has been in a hospital bed for 2 years this April. I've been in jail for 2 years for not doing it. She will never know her mom and dad again. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. He brazenly interrupted the grieving family. As if that wasn't enough, he interrupted the judge too. Mr. Whitaker, you had a chance already. This is my opportunity. Yeah, well, I didn't do it. Then the judge announced the jury's verdict. Guilty. Whitaker was enraged. Just because the jury found me guilty does not mean that I'm guilty. And that's why I cannot show remorse, because I did not do it. His callousness left his mark on the family. Any amount of time that Jack Whitaker could serve cannot make it for the loss of my daughter. Absolutely not. She did serve her life sentence. Even the judge felt empathy for them. I'm deeply sorry that you've had to endure the life-changing injuries to Kayla. I'm sorry. To her daughter and to the rest of the family. But Whitaker's actions would soon come back to bite him. When he finally learned his sentence, he was speechless. This is You've consented to 11 years. 11 years? Yeah, for being innocent? You're kidding me. 11 years. This is 11 years. There's no more. 11. That's enough. I could die. Whitaker was sentenced to 11 years in prison, but his sentence was increased to 16 after Kayla's death. This case left Kayla's family in tears. But in this next case, the defendant's callous words cause a full-on fight. Shame on you, full-blooded _killer. Like in the case of William Demby Jr., who's facing charges for aggravated murder, felonious assault, and domestic violence near Cleveland, Ohio. William Demby, a prison security guard, had been married to 33-year-old Holly Demby for almost 6 years when he made this 911 call. Yeah, I killed her. You killed her? Yeah, who did you kill? Somebody 14,900 call. He even cracked a joke. Who did you kill, Demby? My wife. My ex-wife. His apathy is chilling. What's your name? His name is Holly. Who else is there with you, Demby? Just me and my dog. Demby told police that they had been involved in a domestic dispute. After locking herself in an upstairs room, Holly tried to jump out the window to flee. When Demby found her, he stabbed her to death. In court, Demby's attorney claimed he acted in a fit of rage. I can't remember everything, just saw red, I just snipped. But Holly's family didn't buy it. Our Holly was taken from her son and our family and friends because of one man's thus violent acts. Surprisingly, Demby admitted to his crimes. Good afternoon, Your Honor. As most of you know, my name is William Demby, and on August 11th, 2010, I killed my wife, Holly. I had no right doing what I did. Obviously, I wasn't thinking. I was in a place where I had no control over my actions. I can't explain it. I can't understand how or why I did what I did. I may never know. He blamed his emotions, but he also blamed someone else. Shame on you, Cheryl. I don't know, Mr. Deb. He blamed Cheryl, Holly's mom, for raising Holly poorly. The judge tried to salvage the situation. Once again, you speak to me about your relationship if you wish between you and Holly Demby. I'm not interested in your position with regard to her members of her family. It seems like Demby had nothing to say, and the audience exploded. You stabbed her 8 times. You cold-blooded _killer. I've had enough of his rampage continued into the hallway. I'm not going to stand. Then it was time for sentencing, but the judge's sentence shocked everyone. So the court finds the defendant not guilty with regard to count 1 with regard to this matter. Not guilty. And I just can't say that I can find proof beyond reasonable doubt. There's enough evidence for me to find the defendant did have prior calculation design. The judge acquitted him of aggravated murder, but Demby wasn't completely off the hook. He was found guilty of murder, felonious assault, and domestic violence, earning him a sentence of 15 years to life. Demby's harsh words hit the victim's family hard. But what happens when a defendant's vile insults are hurled at the judge? First of all, I don't have mental illness. I don't have a mental defect. I'm a weapon that I was meant to be. Weapon does not ask questions, does not feel remorse. 4 parasites I killed back in 200 whatever 6. It wasn't an accident. If this happened on the streets, I would have done nothing but hunted you down, and I would be on trial for my life myself. Like in the case of Joshua Skolman, who was charged with first-degree intentional homicide and attempted first-degree intentional homicide in Green Bay Correctional Institution in Wisconsin. Skolman was already in a maximum security prison for killing 4 people back in 2006, but his bloodthirst couldn't be contained by metal bars. In a racially motivated attack, Skolman attempted to kill 2 black men inside prison walls. Only one survived. In court, the victim's father shook with rage. You put my family and my people through an immense pain that we'll never get over. My life will never be the same. He only had one regret. If this happened on the streets, I would have done nothing but hunted you down, and I would be on trial for my life myself. And that's all I gotta say. His lawyer tried to blame the crime on a genetic mental illness. That was diagnosed with schizophrenia, and at times his mother has had some issues as well. I do want the court to know, and the victims' families to know. We could tell that there were some issues going on. We recognize mental illness. I know the court is on the treatment court for mental health court. Just because the jury didn't find that Mr. Skolman was appropriate for the NGI plea, he is still mentally ill nonetheless. He does need some treatment in the institution. He is going to be in the institution for the rest of his life. I know the court doesn't have many options today. We'd asked the court to take his mental illness into consideration. But when it came time to speak, he basically called his lawyer a liar. All right, first of all, I don't have mental illness. I don't have a mental defect. All right. Then he started insulting the judge. You guys have the mental illness. You have the mental defect. All right. But after this next outburst, his lawyer's claims make a lot more sense. I am connected to what my gods and my goddesses meant me to be. I am a weapon that I was meant to be. Weapon does not ask questions, does not feel remorse. A lot of has been talked about remorse. I don't even know what that is. I simply do what I am meant to do. According to Skolman, murder is simply an obligation. Nothing more, nothing less. 4 parasites I killed back in 200 whatever 6. It wasn't an accident. Again, my lawyers thought that it would be a good thing for me to act like I was remorseful. And that's all the lawyers. That's you guys' game, your little games that you play. I don't care. What do I care? Extermination of these parasites is all that I care about. The judge couldn't believe what he was hearing. Believe that anybody who is different than us or disagrees with us must be exterminated. Horror is horrific. I am a weapon and I am a purifier. It causes one to pause and almost lose their breath. The judge was disgusted. Every child is a gift from God. That's what the victims were trying to say. Every life has value. Every person has a right to grow up and to live. Then the judge revealed Skolman's sentence. So considering really the protection of the public and the words of the defendant himself on count 1, it's the sentence that the judgment law that you be confined in the Wisconsin State Prison for the rest of your natural life, and that you are never to be eligible for extended supervision. You will never be released from the state prison system. Skolman couldn't care less about his harsh sentences, but our next defendant has a little more trouble reining in his emotions. This is the case of Oli Abulaban, who's charged with first-degree murder in San Diego, California. In October of 2021, Abulaban broke into the home of his estranged wife, Anna, after hidden cameras caught her bringing home another man. A neighbor's Ring camera caught what happened next. Abulaban shot both Anna and her male friend to death on the couch. Immediately after the murders, Abulaban made a phone call. Music. He confessed to his own mother, but soon he switched tactics. Yes, ma'am. My wife and another man were, I found them dead on the couch. Abulaban claimed he found their dead bodies when he opened the door. Tell me what you saw when you went in there. I saw my wife. I don't know who he is. I know him. He's in a grave. Okay, I know you said your wife was shot in the face. Is that what you said? However, by the time police arrived, Abulaban was long gone. We got 2 down. Hours later, police found Abulaban on the run with his young daughter and the murder weapon in the back seat. While awaiting trial, Abulaban maintained his innocence. I'm the loser here. I lost the love of my life. I lost the love of my life. Once this evidence came out, he changed his tune. I am the best man you ever met. You're the dumbest I ever devoted my life to. You are the dumbest. I wish we never had a kid together because of how stupid you are. He even admitted to seeing another woman. Unlike you're dumb, and I can't wait to divorce you. Suddenly, Abulaban didn't want to talk about the murder anymore. Did you kill her? Don't ask me that. Don't ask me that. His words sent chills down the reporter's spine. Dude, you're so handsome. You're famous on the internet. You can get any model. I know I can. I want to. I love my wife. Could anyone else have Anna? Huh. Could anyone else have Anna? How long was she married to me? But none of that compares to how he acted in court. Before you shot Anna in the head, you said respect to her. I did not say that. Right after you shot Anna in the head, you pushed her head down into Ray's lap. Right. Oh. I'm not going to tolerate this. He refused to answer his lawyer's questions. Say it again. Team videos. You're out of your mind. Show me the team you just said. You want to pay me some kind of unless you show me what you show me. And that's not all. He had just experienced a very traumatic event. Is that fair to say? He created one. Yes. Is that a fair statement? I create one. Elaborate on that. Hold on, Mr. Boulevard. Mr. Bully. Don't inject your own. Okay. We're going to take a break. You think I wanted it? Those officers were the only thing keeping Abulaban from attacking the witness. Mr. Bald, I need you to stop. Yelling in court is one thing, but getting into a screaming match with Anna's sister is another. And Ali, if I have known what my sister had been through with all that abuse, if I have known what's to do anything to you, you know, he's not going to go cheap. You can get a cheap fight. Abulaban was clearly agitated, but he's about to be even more upset when he hears his sentence. The bottom line here is he will die in prison. He will never be a free man. He will take his last breath there. Please, please, please. But before Abulaban walked away in chains, he had one last message for his daughter. My behavior was disgusting and completely unacceptable. So when the time came for me to take the stand, I tried as best as I could to help make some sense of all this, to explain that everything you all saw in the last few months leading up to this incident was a horrific result of the tragic downfall to a once beautiful relationship. But even so, in those 3 days that I took the stand, I was able to share and say a lot of things. Except the one thing I wanted to say the most. I am so incredibly sorry to each and every one of you who have been affected by this. I cannot imagine the pain that I've caused your families. On that day of October 21st, 2021, I was in the worst physical and mental state of my life. I was sick, suffering from an untreated severe mental illness that was combined with a crippling drug addiction, which put me in a state of a drug-induced psychosis. My response in that moment was an unintended impulsive reaction against my better judgment to the discovery of Ray's romantic involvement with my wife, and for that, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that in that moment I was not mentally strong enough to control myself, my partner, my best friend, the mother of my daughter, and the love of my life. I'm ashamed of what took place. I am devastated by the damage that I've caused to Anna's family, to Ray's family, and to my family. Because of those factors, I lost myself. And because of those factors, I lost Anna, to Amira, my beloved daughter. Amira, when you're old enough to see this, please don't blame yourself. None of this is your fault. Your mom loved you so much, and I love you so much. Abulaban was shameless enough to get into a screaming match, but nothing compares to a defendant deemed too dangerous for court. Hey, you better hope I never get out of here. You want to know? You say no. Like in the case of Bampumim Texera, who's facing 2 counts of first-degree felony murder in Boston, Massachusetts. On May 5, 2017, Dr. Lena Bologanos arrived home to her high-rise apartment that she shared with her fiancé, Dr. Richard Field. Minutes later, Texera, an ex-con of the building, would break into the apartment at gunpoint. Bologanos managed to call 911 during the scuffle, but by the time police arrived, it was too late. The officers encountered that intruder turned out to be Texera in a darkened interior hallway. The officers believed that this assailant either pointed or fired a weapon at them in this dark hallway. The officers fired back. During the shootout, Texera was gravely wounded. Since Texera couldn't go to trial, the trial came to him. Count 1, charge of murder with the alleged victim being Richard Field. Count 2, the crime of murder, the alleged victim being Lena Bolinos. A plea of not guilty has entered on your behalf on both counts. Soon enough, Tixer was healed and called into the courtroom. But was that a mistake? Hey, you better hope I never get out of jail. Your wife. Seconds after sitting down, Teixeira threatened to sexually assault the prosecutor's wife. Your wife is getting. The judge forced Teixeira out of court. I have concluded that Mr. Teixeira has forfeited his right to be present at the time that we bring our jurors in and allow them to resume their deliberations. But the ban only lasted so long. And when Teixeira came back, he was somehow more disrespectful than before. When discussing the murder of Dr. Richard Field, he said this. You want to know his last words? You want to know his last words? Be quiet. He's saying no. Be quiet. He refused to be silent. Get him out of here. Get him out of here. This time Teixeira wasn't allowed to return. This is the moment Teixeira learned his fate. The court, in consideration of this offense, orders you committed to the Massachusetts Correctional Institution at Cedar Junction. Teixeira's foul mouth earned him 2 life sentences. But nothing is more chilling than a mother who sheds no tears for her child's death. Should I have kept in contact with this monster after Eli was returned for the home trial? Amazing. You all. You're gone. Like in the case of Jalissa Thaler, who's charged with first and second-degree murder in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Back in 2022, 6-year-old Eli Hart was staying with his mother after a year-long custody battle. His foster mom, however, didn't think it was a good idea. I feared if she got custody back that she would harm Eli if not worried. Thaler's past behavior gave her serious concerns. This is a dangerous situation for Eli. I fear for his safety if he is returned to her. Heartbreakingly, her prophecy would turn out true. On May 20th, 2022, a citizen called 911 about the state of Thaler's car. Yeah, they got her here. Thaler's back window was completely shattered and she was driving only on the wheel hub. But when they got closer, they found something chilling. There is no tire there. Alright, there's what? There's blood all over that had the perfect excuse. I have a broken windshield and I'm missing a tire because some kids were shooting at my car. Add some what looks like blood in there. It's not blood, it's deer meat. I had a big bag and there's a farm around here that does deer meat and hamburgers. If the blood came from deer meat, then how does she explain this? Shotgun shells all over us. Yeah. But then came the worst discovery of all. Holy, we got a body. Alright, let's cover it. They found the body of 6-year-old Eli inside her trunk. Through investigation, police discovered that Thaler had pointed a shotgun at Eli as he sat in the back seat of her car and fired 6 rounds at him. Even more incriminating were her Google searches, including how to keep a child from another parent and how much does life insurance pay for a child. In court, Eli's foster mom couldn't hold back her tears. As I read the article, I had a gut feeling it was Eli that was found dead. While listening to her statement, Thaler was completely emotionless. To this day, I blame myself for not saving Eli. First, the judge had to set the record straight with Eli's foster mom. It wasn't your fault, wasn't your fault at all. So the sooner you can let go of that, the sooner you can appreciate all the time that you did have. Then he addressed Thaler. If you'd like to choose to speak, now is the time to do it. Yes, I would like to say something. If you thought she was going to apologize for her crime, think again. I'm innocent. You're garbage. Missing. Thaler's own attorney physically cringed at her words. Thaler wasn't done. Don't know that that's appropriate here. Sorry, I told you what anybody else. But Thaler was about to get an ice-cold dose of reality. This is the moment she learned her sentence. This is what Mr. Alex said, and that is life in prison without the possibility of parole. So I will judge you guilty of first-degree murder and issue that sentence in shock. Thaler took one last jab at the judge you over your stomach. I'm sorry. Bottom line is that you are being sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. In this next case, an ex-lawyer constructs the perfect innocent facade. Almost. We love each other like small children, and we actually have a secret among us. I didn't ever hear you say you're sorry for what you did. To me, that silence speaks volumes. Like in the case of Tex McVier, who's charged with malice murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, and possession of a firearm and commission of a felony in Atlanta, Georgia. Back in 2016, defense attorney Tex McIver was in the backseat of a car sitting behind his wife. At some point during the ride, a gun in the car went off and shot Diane McIver in the back. McIver's attorneys claimed it was a freak accident. Daniel was driving, right? Okay, I was in the back seat. In the back seat. Okay. And what's the next thing that you can't? I know you said you kind of fell asleep there. What's the next thing that you can remember? From there back, I was tired. I don't sleep well in the car. It's just the motion. And so it was kind of a twilight thing for me. But we went through an area I thought it was particularly dangerous at night. And I quickly said, this is a big mistake. We're in a place that we don't belong, right? I said, yeah, I'd like to. If you don't like, please hand me my prep. I was in the center console. Guess I just laid back again and went to sleep. Danny Joe came to a stop, and I just was handling the gun out of the box. It was in my lap, right, and it went off. What do you remember after that was a shock? I immediately called out. I said, is everybody all right? And Danny Joe said, yes. And Diane said was kind of slanted. She said, I've been shot. Words to that effect. She said, your wife's in bad shape, but she's responsive. And this difference, but she said it was an accident. And they called in gun experts to back up their case. All hand motion, it's all hand. Pull the trigger. Yeah, it's about the same. Now, if you're startled, you hit a bump, you wake up and your finger's on it anyway. Could it happen? Yeah. Is that what happened? I don't know. But it could. Nobody knows. Yeah. Not even the people in the car. However, the jury wasn't quite sure. He was able to take the firearm to the vehicle, and we was able to test it out our cell, and we was able to come up with you. You shot your wife in the back. This is the moment the jury revealed their verdict. On count 1, murder, we find the defendant not guilty. On count 2, felony murder, we find the defendant guilty of felony murder. On count 3, aggravated assault, you find the defendant guilty. Maciver was found guilty for felony murder and aggravated assault, but he swears they made a mistake. We loved each other like small children, unabashedly devoted to each other. And so what many people could not possibly know because it's never been revealed, and I'm going to give up the secret today. We felt so strongly about each other. We were together so much that we actually had a secret among us, and that was that we would be different places. We'd look at each other and we would say sometimes even in unison, is this truly real? He claims the relationship was amazing, but would the judge believe him? I didn't ever hear you say you're sorry for what you did. To me, that silence speaks volumes. Maciver's refusal to apologize was the final nail in his coffin. The penalty for felony murder is life. I'm going to sentence you, count 2, to a term of life with the possibility of parole. Count 3 merges into count 2. Count 4 must run consecutive to count 2. It must be 5 years. I will suspend those 5 years. Count 5 is a range of 1 to 5. Excuse me, I will sentence you to 5 years to serve. That will run concurrently with count 2. The sentence I just intended to pronounce is a sentence of life plus 5 with those 5 years suspended. Luckily for McViver, he will have a chance at parole and his attorney is hopeful. We think his sentence will be done sometime mid-2025. This ex-lawyer forgot to show remorse. But this next defendant couldn't even pretend to be sorry. Was your husband and of an entire family. That's why I killed you. Like in the case of Omar Rodriguez, who's charged with second-degree murder and aggravated assault near Miami, Florida. Jose Ray and his wife Let were out walking their dog when the dog defecated on their neighbor's lawn, prompting a neighborly dispute. Things escalated when Omar Rodriguez, the neighbor, retrieved a gun from his car and shot Ray 3 times, killing him. In court, even Rodriguez's own lawyer recognized his client's overreaction. This case is not about puppies. This case is not about dog poo. This case is about hatred, absolute hatred. He claimed Rodriguez's neighbors hated him and lured him into committing a violent act. Someone is full of hate here. He's done everything from calling police on neighbors, code enforcement on neighbors, yelling at old ladies, walking down the sidewalk with their dogs, yelling at them. And it's not the neighbors. Was your husband. Stability and of an entire family. That's why I killed this. Rodriguez exploded while Ray's wife Let gave her victim impact statement. That's why I killed this like a baby. Let completely ignored his outburst. I was tuning him out. I was just reading my thoughts. His words are irrelevant. He is irrelevant in my life right now. He is Panska. Let tried to forget Rodriguez's comments, but the judge did not. Defendant is sentenced to life for a 25-year mandatory minimum term. However, Ray's wife wasn't satisfied. I wish though that the death sentence would have been on the table because at the end of the day, Mr. Rodriguez will continue to see his family. They'll be able to visit him and see him. I'll never get to see my husband again. Rodriguez couldn't control his anger in the courtroom. But this next defendant's remorselessness stayed bottled up until it was too late. I ask that you forgive my appearance. This is not normally me. I normally have hair. I, the defendant. I came in here ridiculously unprepared. You are the most reprehensible person I've had in court before. This is the case of Bradley Yan, who's facing a litany of charges, including 2 counts of home invasion, 2 counts of aggravated kidnapping, and 1 count of aggravated vehicular hijacking and 1 count of aggravated criminal sexual assault in Quincy, Illinois. In November 2021, 77-year-old teen man was having car troubles along the side of the road. When Yan appeared, she believed he would help her. Instead, he assaulted her, drove her to her house, and assaulted her more before fleeing the scene. When her husband came home, Lum called the police to report Yan's crimes. In court, Yan was apologetic, but not for the reason you think. I ask that you forgive my appearance. This is not normally me. I normally have hair. I do not expect you to feel sorry for me by any means. As if that wasn't arrogant enough, he then called all the charges against him lies. You will see that today here and throughout this trial there are major tales told tales that are tall, simply very tall tales. Then he blatantly admits how unqualified he is to defend himself. Mr. Yan here to make any opening statements? Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, what you just heard were theatrics. Theatrics, something one puts forth in order to obtain and persuade you to obtain a conviction in a trial. I will concede that some things Miss Keck here stated do in fact ring true. However, they're not as she stated them. There are many discrepancies in this case that have yet to be finalized. Trials are based on persuasion. Who has the best persuasion in their words? Who can be persuaded by the persuade? Words like persuasion, I believe they're negative myself. They're kind of like manipulation. Very negative. It's negative in my insight. Persuade somebody, especially when you want to persuade somebody as to the charges here today and not have the proof needed to present those theatrics, To be logical seems to be more so valuable than to persuade some. Also, the meaning of logical to expect because of what has gone before what has happened in prior arrangements, prior times based on or using logic. The definition of logic, correct reasoning. What is expected by the working of cause and effect? The working of cause and effect. Today and throughout this trial, you'll see that the cause does not hold the effect it should. I, the defendant, I came in here ridiculously unprepared. He was so incompetent that even the prosecutors were at a loss on how to proceed. He wanted it to be all about him and how the system was out to get him, and it was just incredibly troubling. The trial dragged on for 19 months, but finally the jury came back with their verdict. We, the jury, find the defendant Bradley Yan guilty of home invasion with a dangerous weapon. The jury found him guilty on all counts, and for once in his life, Yan was speechless. We, the jury, find the defendant Bradley Yan guilty of aggravated criminal assault. Yan was taken to jail to await sentencing. And when sentencing day came, the judge did not mince words. You are the most reprehensible person I've had in court before me. As public defender, as state's attorney, and now as judge. Well, sir, you going to be perfect for 130 years in prison, 'cause I'm adopting the state's recommendation. The judge sentenced him to 130 years in prison. Later, during a post-sentencing hearing, Yan's anger got the best of him. Do not interrupt me or you be removed from the courtroom. I'm ready to go, Your Honor. He didn't listen. Of course, it seems like things don't get filed. Your Honor, the clerk just not filed. That's one of my reasons. Man, do Mr. Young start filing, my clerk will never file my stuff. That's why I'm sitting here trying to argue. Let's go. You know, I'm here. He's done. I'm tired of this underscore. Y'all just railroad the underscore out of me here. He was sent straight to his prison cell where he will spend the rest of his life. Yon's crimes may be scary, but he can't compare to the Deadpool killer, whose only tears are his tattoos. The decision that's solely left up to you if you want to address the court or not. Not today. Later when I come back, I will. Today, no, I won't, like in the case of Wade Wilson, who's charged with double murder in Cape Coral, Florida. In 2019, Wilson went home with 35-year-old Christine Melton, whom he met at a bar. Come morning, however, Wilson suddenly strangled her to death, stole her car, and then proceeded to run over another woman various times before driving away. Shockingly, a bloodied and shirtless Wilson confessed all his crimes to a cashier at a strip mall away. Once arrested, however, Wade refused to admit his involvement in the women's deaths. I never ran across or never seen her. And there's nothing that will say otherwise than that. When confronted about his confession, Wilson makes an outrageous excuse. When coming to jail, I knew that I had to get something out there as far as a confession because I was told to do that. Otherwise, my parents were going to be harmed. My children were going to be harmed. He has a lot to say to the media, but when it comes time to speak up in court, Wilson makes a surprising decision. This is a decision that's solely left up to you if you want to address the court or not. Not today. Later, when I come back, I will today. No, I won't. Okay, thank you. Wilson gives no apology for his crimes. Finally, it's time for him to learn the jury's verdict. We, the jury, find by a vote of 9-3 that Wade Wilson should be sentenced to death. But WDE's reaction is completely out of left field. Thank you. Then we'll be adjourned. He flashed a mysterious hand signal to the jury right before leaving court, but that won't save him from his fate. The totality of the circumstances warrants that the defendant, Wade Stephen Wilson, be sentenced to death for each count of first-degree murder. Wilson accepted his fate with an eerie resignation. Other defendants don't go down quite so easily. You went off on your attorney, Taylor. You went crazy on your attorney. Like in the case of Taylor Shabas, who's charged with murder, mutilating a corpse, and rape in Green Bay, Wisconsin. On the night of February 21, 2022, Shabas stayed the night with her lover, 4-year-old Shad Thean, where he lived in the basement of his mother's house. Come morning, Shabas and Thean were nowhere to be found. Thean's mother made a chilling discovery. Hello. Hi, Kara. So, can you tell me what's going on? Pretty positive? My son's head is in a bucket from my basement. What makes you think that? 'Cause I looked in a bucket. What did you see? Exactly what I told you. Okay. When police arrived, their worst fears were confirmed. Thean's dismembered head was inside a black bucket next to the stairs. But that wasn't all. We got quite a bit of blood down here. I want to clear this rest of this house. We've got 2 people in the house for sure. Other body parts were found in bags around the basement. Some of them were missing. Police tracked down Shabas' business at her apartment a few miles away. They caught her red-handed, literally. Is this blood? Does this look like blood to you, or am I just tripping? Bloody footprint. You see this right here? Never. Put your hands behind the back. You got your hands on your hands. Okay, yeah, we're going after what apartment? As if that wasn't incriminating enough, police found even more of Thean's body parts in boxes in her car. In court, Shabas claimed the insanity plea. At first, it seemed like just another ploy to get out of a jail sentence until this happened. Stop it. Stop it. Shab business flipped, suddenly attacking her own lawyer. Rachel, call. Eventually, she stopped fighting. Yeah, let's just go to secondary. Suddenly, it was like a light came on. You went off on your turn, Taylor. You went crazy on your attorney. Shab business claimed she had no memory of the outburst, but her lawyer still resigned from the case. This crazy behavior could never happen twice, right? Right, wrong. It is one. Years after the first attack, Shabas attacked again, but this time the baifs were prepared. Drop off the record. She went down in seconds and stayed there. Her violence didn't help her case. Watch as she learns the judge's verdict. And I'm going to judge the defendant guilty on count 1, a first-degree intentional homicide, as a repeater. Count 2, mutilating a corpse, as a repeater. And count 3, third-degree sexual assault, as a repeater. Her final sentence has yet to be released. Although business went as far as to attack her lawyers, that's nothing compared to the lack of remorse shown by Keith Ferguson. You put me back my okay, stop. Keith Ferguson is charged with first and second-degree murder in Casca, Michigan. In November of 2014, Keith Ferguson learned that his wife Tiffany had filed for divorce. In response, he shot his wife to death in front of their 4 children. Then, he drove his children to the house of his father-in-law, whom he also shot to death. The children escaped and ran to a neighbor's house. Minutes later, police arrived and arrested Ferguson. In court, Ferguson was anything but cooperative. His lawyer convinced him to take a guilty plea, but that didn't make things any easier on the judge. I need to have you raise your right hand for me. Okay, all right. Pull me back. Okay, stop. The judge tried to redirect the conversation to a safer topic, the children. But when asked if he wanted to see them, Ferguson said this. Enough, And it wouldn't be good for me, I don't want them to see me. Ferguson was sick of the court process, and he wasn't afraid to say it. This is just a tragedy. Just sentence me, kill me, whatever, and sentence him. He did. The clinical definition of insanity. But there's clearly something fundamentally wrong with you, which is something that deserves the most important serious punishment. The judge sentenced Ferguson to life in prison. Ferguson's anger was so thick you could cut it with a knife. But even more chilling is a gruesome killer who can't wipe the smile off his face. Like in the case of Michael Swanson, who's charged with double homicide in northern Iowa. In 2010, 17-year-old Michael Swanson killed store clerks Sheila Myers and Vicki Bowman Hall in 2 separate convenience stores across northern Iowa. After targeting one store with a gun and a ski mask, Swanson moved on to another store, leaving a trail of bodies in his wake. It was hours before police put the killing spree to an end. When they finally caught up to him, Swanson was ready to spill the whole story. Where did you shoot on the body? Yeah, in the face. In the face. Okay. He easily confessed both murders to the officer. What did you feel when you pulled the trigger? I felt powerful. I don't know, I just didn't really care. Didn't care? Okay, how else did you feel? It had no effect on me. I just didn't even care. Why? Lie in the face. Did you do that on purpose? Well, I don't know, it seems like a final. It was final, okay. He's about to incriminate himself even further. You said that she made some type of noise. What type of noise did she make? I just kind of sound like she's surprised. I was like, I don't know. Okay, Swanson couldn't stop smiling at the memory of his crimes. In court, Swanson shows even less remorse, if that's even possible. One victim's daughter confronts Swanson directly. Want to know if you're even sorry? Are you sorry for what you did? My mom was not only completely 100% innocent, but she was also a defenseless woman when you came in with that gun. You said you did it for cigarettes and money, and so no one could identify you, but I think that's a lie. You did it, as you later said on, that it was so you could feel powerful. How could killing a defenseless woman in an outright execution be powerful or fair? My mom did nothing to you. This was his response. I then intentionally, deliberately, and with premeditation shot the clerk, causing her to die. I did this with specific intent to kill her. He admitted to his crimes, but he refused to apologize. Swanson couldn't keep the smile off his face, and I don't buy into that. You are dangerous. You are unpredictable. And there is no place for you in an open, law-abiding society. Prison for the rest of your life is the only alternative. Swanson was sent to prison for life, still wearing that sickening smile. Swanson's attitude was audacious enough, but it pales in comparison to a psychotic defendant who verbally assaults the jury. If you think I'm here to play around with y'all, go damn. Like in the case of Ronnie O'Neill, who's facing charges for 2 counts of first-degree murder, 1 count of attempted first-degree murder, arson, child abuse, and resisting a law enforcement officer in Riverview, Florida. In March of 2018, Ronnie O'Neill was crashing at the house of his ex-girlfriend, Kenyatta Barron, and their 2 young children, when he made an alarming 911 call. 911, what is your emergency? Hey, I just been attacked by some white demons inside Kiki. Kiki, her name is Kiki, and she tried to kill me. Minutes later, Kiki made her own phone call. 911, what's the address of your emergency? What's going on? Then chillingly now, I'm hearing music. Oh my God. Then the line went dead. By the time officers arrived, the house was on fire with the entire family still inside. The only survivors were Ronnie O'Neill and his young son, also named Ronnie. Officers found the bodies of Kenyatta and her daughter shot to death inside their home. According to the son, O'Neill had shot both of them, set fire to the house, and then tried to shoot him as well. In court, O'Neill chose to represent himself. That was clearly a mistake. By the time it's all said and done, you will see who is the mass murderer. He started off proceedings with a quick prayer. Then he got down to business. 'Cause if you think I'm here to play around with y'all, goddamn. O'Neill might have passion on his side, but the prosecution had something better. Facts right from the mouth of the witness. My mom ran in my sister's room. My mom ran in my sister's room and terrified into the closet. And then my dad said I could come in here and come kill this reviewer. As his own representative, O'Neill had the right to question every witness, even his would victim. Good, it's good to see you, man. Good to see you too. He seemed to think his son wouldn't betray him. He was wrong. Did I hurt you that night of this incident? Yes, I did. And how did I hurt you? He stabbed me. There's no stronger evidence than that, and O'Neill knew it. He was out of arguments. After months of defending a not guilty plea, O'Neill suddenly undermined his entire argument. I want you to know the actual facts. I did kill Kenya. He blatantly admitted to the very crime he claimed to be innocent of. But I want you to tell it like it is if you're going to tell it. Despite his confession, he still refused to apologize in the eye and tell you this is the worst case ever in my life. And I have seen some horrors, but this is it. And I'm gonna mete out the punishment that I think this case deserves. Alright, this is the moment O'Neill learned his fate. On count 1, Mr. O'Neill, I will adjudicate you guilty. Sentence you to life in prison with a minimum mandatory of life in prison without the possibility of parole.